and start the captions. All right. Any updates, any cool programs? I got to go to the pod conference, which was the weekend before Thanksgiving, and out in Seattle, and it was pretty good. It was good to be there in person, and the flying out there wasn't fun, but luckily we didn't get any snow in Rochester, so it wasn't a problem getting it out.
I went to it online. What were some highlights of the in-person?
So I got to go to a session actually around how faculty developers can assist with curricular change on the campus. So that was actually super helpful because it was delivered by folks from Stanford, and they had a process for sort of thinking through how you would do that. And that's, like I said, helpful because we've gotten a lot of requests for assistance with the new general education program requirements, especially around the DEI SJ course requirement. So I actually had a meeting earlier this week with some folks from the SUNY Faculty Senate who are working on that. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to, and we'll be announcing some programs related to that for faculty. So that was good. And overall, it was good. I mean, online, I know that, so POD, in case anybody's curious, so POD made the decision this year. So POD is the Professional Organizational Development Network. So if you're not familiar with POD, POD is kind of the national organization of people who do faculty educational development. And this year they made the choice to have actually two conferences at the same time. One completely online and one pretty much completely face-to-face. There was some overlap with the keynote was for both. I believe the affinity groups, I believe, were both. The special interest groups and the committee meetings were both. But everything else, and the rationale was they didn't want, it was very difficult to do, bring people in remotely in a hotel environment where you have conference rooms and it prohibitively expensive, right? And then B, they wanted to basically have it so that your attention was going to be focused on one or the other, so that you didn't have folks kind of coming in and out. So I know that they're going to get a lot of feedback about that, but it made some sense to me. And they did it at the same time because that way they only had to do one call for proposals and one sets of conference evaluations and that sort of thing. So.
I went to the CIT last year that was simultaneous in both and just awful. And this was, for an online participant, excellent because it was dedicated online material.
Yeah.
And a complete conference. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, and it's a shame that CIT went that way, but because there was no short of effort on my colleagues' part who helped plan that. But the issue is that, of course, that you never anticipate. It's hard to anticipate the issues you're going to have with audio, and then the interactions between in person and online. So it is really challenging to do interactive, hybrid sessions. And especially in a large space like the keynotes for CIT. So yeah, I agree. I tend to agree. All right. So anyway, all right. POD is a terrible net. I agree. All right. So welcome everybody. I'm excited to have this session today with our colleagues from New Paltz. I'll let them introduce themselves shortly. But it's our last meeting of the semester. As I said earlier, we'll have more in the spring, but we haven't scheduled them yet. And if you're interested in presenting, please let me know. If everyone could just do a quick hello in the chat, let us know where you're from. That would be great. I see some of you are already doing that, but good to know where everybody's joining us from. All right, and then I will just pass it off to you all and take it away.
All right, that was me. I was trying to type in the chat and unmute my microphone. So my name is Shannon McManimon, and I am here with my colleagues, Rachel and Anthony, and I'll let them introduce themselves a little bit more. But just to give you a sense of what we're going to do today, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to just talk through a little bit about reflections on co-directing a faculty development center. And then we are going to, can you all see that? Great, thanks. And then, so we'll each talk through different pieces of it. And now I can't see my own screen. Okay, so we'll talk about the setup of how we have the SUNY New Paltz Faculty Development Center, and then what we're doing right now as co-directors. We'll talk a little bit about our division of our responsibilities. We are interim co-directors, and Rachel will tell you a little bit more about that. We'll talk a little bit about our communication issues, and then we really want to open it up. We have some discussion questions and to have some conversations about pros and cons of, you know, having a one-person director versus a shared responsibilities. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Rachel.
All right. So I thought, my name is Rachel Rigolino, and I teach in the English department. Normally it's first year writing, but I also teach some literature courses as well. And I do a lot of kind of online work. I teach online now primarily. So the mission, I thought we would grab that and look, these 4 words. I suspect that this is true across, you know, faculty development, the idea to be supportive, innovate, connect, collaborate, and doing this all within the FDC. And definitely in terms of supporting, we're going to talk more about that later, how we do support faculty. In terms of innovation, that can be not just online pedagogy, but it can just be, you know, looking at things in a different way, teaching, sharing teaching tips, that type of thing. And then providing a place for people to connect, either in person or virtually. And it's been very, very difficult this semester to kind of get people to connect with one another. So I'd like to find out more about your campuses and what you're doing. And then, of course, collaborating. And there are spaces, I think Shannon will talk about that, and also Anthony, how faculty do collaborate. And we can go to the next slide. Oh, and you probably all know Sarah Wyman. So Sarah is on sabbatical this year, and a call went out who would like to serve as interim, coordinator, director. And that call went out, and I believe we'll talk more about this maybe later. The 3 of us kind of said we would do it, but do it part-time. And as you can see, she really, she teaches for the English department. And I do not know, of course, the everything about her course release, but she's got course release, and she does everything that we're doing. She did it, you know, on, oh, okay. She zoomed in to do a workshop on compassionate teaching. No, she's fabulous. She has a certain energy about her, low key, very, very supportive. And, you know, we're 3 of us replacing 1 person. And I have to say that I now very much, kind of look up to her now that I see the amount of work that goes into running a faculty development center. So all of these things she really has been at the head of, doing the FDC events, faculty support, student support. She's very big also on finding ways to support students. And then the community building and regional partnerships have been very key to our FDC in the past. And I open educational resources, we're there, we're still working on it, but she also brought that into play on our campus. And that's it.
Oops, too many slides. So as Rachel said, that when we knew that Sarah was going to be on a full year sabbatical, a call went out about who might want to take over that role. And so we have, as part of our Faculty Development Center, we have an advisory board. It has approximately 20 different members, and it includes academic and professional faculty from across campus. And so that is instructors at all levels, both tenure and non-tenure track, as well as librarians, and many people from student support services. So like the Disability Resource Center, instructional technology. And so this group of people meets about 3 times a semester to give a variety of different perspectives of what is happening from the faculty and staff perspective on campus. And that was the call that went, the call for interim director, co-directors went out to all of us. So I'm going to pass it to Anthony.
Peace, family. It's a pleasure to be here. And here are our 3 interim co-directors. So that's me, Anthony Dandridge, Shannon McManimon, and Rachel Rigolino. That's us 3. Y'all see us over here, but y'all see us in this space as well. We have been doing wonderful work this semester as it relates to our co-director interim status, but I would also like to speak to the value of what Sarah Wyman has been to this community. I like to refer to her as a tornado of activity, wonderful, always engaging. I think in some sense she epitomizes the mission that we hold and attempt to create a kind of cultural ethos here at New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz, as it relates to issues of interdisciplinarity and activism and engagement. Sarah is in all spaces. I was with Sarah this morning at, we're part of this one committee on campus called the Eddy, and we meet at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays. Only because that was probably the best space that you will not have any conflict. And so I saw Sarah this morning, but I actually did not want to even pass this information on to Sarah because Sarah's in so many different spaces, and being on sabbatical, she's trying to not be involved in the campus community in ways that she may have been previously. And I knew if I would have just even presented it to her, she would not have been able to resist but to show up. And I did not want to put that pressure on her. But then there was also pressure on me. Well, maybe she really wants to be here. So at the end of the day, I flipped a mental coin and decided not to share that information with her. That being said, we see the shoes that she walks around with here on campus, and all 3 of our shoes, all 3 of our feet fit in those shoes, and there's still some room. All right, there's still some. All right, and so let's go on to my work here as it relates to what I do in my interim status. Each of us have a variety of different things that we signed up to do as it relates to our own particular roles in as being interim co-directors. One of my initial things is that I assist with the sustainability faculty fellows learning community. I am on campus. I'm a visiting lecturer 5 years now at the second oldest Black Studies department on the planet, which was established here in 1969 at SUNY New Paltz. I really love this space. I love New Paltz for a variety of different reasons, not only the community here on campus, but then also off campus, and the geography, and just the engagement with nature and a variety of different things, but also the way in which this campus really supports its students, but also attempts to bridge the gaps between the campus and the community in terms of the ways in which we seek to take our research and those practices and outcomes that come out of our research and apply them in a variety of different ways, and establish particularly meaningful relationships between the campus community and our surrounding community. I'm on, at last count, I think I just counted last week, 14 different committees. And the dynamics that I'm not, there's a lot of stuff going on. That being said, it's an enjoyable space. I'm juggling a lot of different things. But that being said, when this opportunity presented itself for me to be a interim director, I took advantage of it because I see the work that Sarah does. And I said, well, not only do I think the work is valuable, but I also wanted to step into this space and maintain the kind of direction that she had. So I didn't want them to go and try to find somebody else who was unfamiliar with the work that was being done in this space and maybe derail some of the things that she has been so wonderfully establishing here in the Faculty Development Center. So myself, Shannon, and Rachel took on this responsibility. That being said, with respect to all of these committees that I'm on several diversity, equity, and inclusion committees here on campus, sustainability committees here on campus. Just giving you a sense of who I am. I co-coordinate faculty contemplative group here on campus, Black Lives Matter School here on campus, also off campus, the SUNY Black Faculty and Staff Collective. I'm vice chair of that. That was established in 2020 after the George Floyd incident. We have direct relationship with the SUNY Chancellor and the SUNY Chief Diversity Officer. In addition to that, Concerned Parents of New Paltz, which is a community organization that was actually started by faculty members from the Black Studies Department, but it's a community of parents that are in the area that take an active engagement as it relates to the educational outside of this institution, and really more focusing on the public school systems here and so on and so forth. But that's a little bit about who I am and what I do in this particular role as it relates to me being a co-coordinator and assistant in this sustainability faculty fellows learning community. We meet weekly, also weekly and bi-weekly. It's been weekly at first. We were really investing this some energy this particular semester as it relates to some projects that we would like to do. We have about 70 sustainability faculty fellows here on campus. Then these faculty fellows have integrated sustainability into their current courses and programs. And we're currently seeking to support as we attempt to focus this year intentionally on developing cutting edge interdisciplinary curriculum and major academic programs at the intersection of sustainability and justice that have real potential to carry not just our community here on campus, but we always try to link what's going on campus to outside the campus, our society as a whole, to thrive in the future. And so we're actually in negotiations right now with the administration, trying to get more funding and just access and just expand our impact. That being said, I also activate the diversity, equity, and inclusion faculty fellows. And I myself am not only a sustainability faculty fellow, I'm also a diversity, equity, inclusion faculty fellow as well. So we come together on a monthly basis and we engage issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And a lot of what goes on with respect to that is just really just trying to amplify those issues that faculty members want to address in terms of them trying to create programs or curriculum that are more diverse. So we are really we really use the Faculty Development Center as a space to help them to cultivate whichever direction that they want to go. Right. And that has been particularly fruitful as of late. We actually have a couple, some funding from administration to give out stipends to individual faculty members with respect to this effort as well. In addition to that, I convened the FDC Faculty Development Center Advisory Board, which was discussed a little bit already by Shannon. And in our advisories, I think everybody here knows in general what advisory boards do, but some of our advisory board sessions, we like to meet with our advisory board members that are about 20 different individuals, and we'll have introductions, sharing, make announcements about certain events that have happened in the past, and also where we would like to go in the future with respect to those events, and also take questions from our advisory board members. And sometimes even in our last meeting, we took some of those questions that they posed to us and took them back to administration and got some answers for them, and it's tried to help to facilitate a a meaningful interaction. And a lot of times people want to come through the FDC to speak to the administration, as opposed to, just operating within other pathways. In addition to that, I facilitate faculty development center events. We have a series of events that we put on every semester, and we have a website and different things like that. And Rachel will actually be discussing their website. But even as it relates to our events and our interim status, we're engaging our community in a variety of different spaces, being as though that I'm on all of these different committees and interacting with people from different schools and different disciplines, just trying to find out ways in which we can help to support them promote their events, but also draw connections to those events that center on faculty development. So, and also allowing them to know that we are here, and this is a space to where, as though if they want to not only partner, but just also even center and maybe come into this space and create events on their own that they think that might be productive. We want them to know that we are here to support them in those endeavors. And I also serve as the ex-officio member of the Faculty Senate. So I'm also the Faculty Senate representative of the Black Studies Department. In addition to that, since I'm there every month, the Faculty Senate meets on the first Wednesday of every month. This was right in my lane because I'm going to be there anyway, right? And so I'm the ex-officio member, and in that particular capacity, when we're sharing about community events, I'll get up and I'll just talk about some of the things that are going on at the FDC, remind everybody that we are here to support them as we start to move forward, post some links to some events that are going on, and just engage our faculty in that particular space. I think that's important that we take a variety of different pathways to engage our faculty as it relates to these roles that we have here on campus, because not all faculty are looking at emails. Not all faculty are going to the FDC websites. Not all faculty are going to the Faculty Senate meetings, all these different things. So we try to coalesce all of these different things, all of these spaces, and participate in these roles to try to have as wide an impact as we possibly can. And our next slide.
All right.
I will segue into Shannon, for Shannon's work.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right.
Yeah, so I realized that I didn't actually introduce myself more fully. So again, my name is Shannon McManimon. I'm a newly associate professor, just got tenure this past summer. I am in a different college than Anthony and Rachel. So I'm in the School of Education, in Educational Studies and Leadership Department. I coordinate our social justice education master's degree program. So that's what my other position is here at SUNY New Paltz. In my role as the interim co-director, I have a couple of different responsibilities that I took on. So one of them is welcoming and mentoring new faculty. So that started with orientation. We do a 2-day orientation for new faculty, and that's both tenure and non-tenure track faculty. So I helped to organize that and lead some parts of that orientation back in August. But one of the big things about orientation is that it's, so much information thrown at people, and it's really overwhelming. People have, usually moved to a new kind of space. So we decided this year that we were going to try something new, and we're calling it First Year Fridays. And we invited those new faculty from this year and also new faculty from the previous 2 years too, who had started at New Paltz during the pandemic. And some of those, like in 2 years ago, most people were almost fully online. So there's just a lot of people who've come onto campus as new faculty and haven't had an opportunity to meet each other, to get to know our actual physical campus. So First Year Fridays we started every other Friday, but attendance wasn't great. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, or have a conversation about it. So we've gone to once a month, and these are on a particular topic that new faculty are interested in. So for instance, last time it was sponsored programs. So we had someone from our grants office come in and talk about how do you apply for grants? What's the process? What is the support that SUNY New Paltz provides? The next one, what we're doing is how to do an annual report. So I asked new faculty what kinds of things they were interested in talking about, and it's a space to learn more about those topics and also have some community building together. There's, sometimes they're Friday afternoons, so there's frequently like a off-campus happy hour kind of thing afterwards for people to build some community. Also doing something that Sarah had started last year, which is peer mentoring circles for new faculty who are interested. And that's really just kind of informal space for people to have conversations about things that are coming up. And particularly that's useful to have people meet faculty from other colleges or departments and to be able to say like, hey, this is what I've heard from my dean. What are you hearing? And so we're meeting about every three weeks to just have some informal conversations. The second piece of the work that I've been doing is, along with Anthony, is just program services and resources for full and part-time faculty. So sometimes that's formal programming. It also includes informal gatherings. It also includes some like resource generating that then Rachel posts. So she'll talk a little bit more about that. The third piece is promoting the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity. So the New Paltz campus joined NCFDD a year ago in November of 2021. We have 132 people here on campus who have done individual accounts with the NCFDD and about over 500 active sessions. So that is a resource that it seems like people on our campus are turning to. And it's a variety of people. The most frequent, 33% of the people who've been using it are non-tenure track faculty, and looking for things like support for writing. Other people, there's been a lot of associate and assistant professors looking in support for the tenure processes. So trying to promote that, sending out emails through Rachel to let people know about those resources, which people can register for and do on their own time. And then the final piece is facilitating writing and scholarly productivity at a comprehensive university. It's often challenging for faculty to find and dedicate space to writing or scholarly productivity. So we have several writing groups that meet at a regular time each week. One of them is in person, one of them is virtual. And so I have helped to facilitate those and to encourage people to make space in their schedules for writing and scholarly productivity.
Okay, and I'm Rachel. So listening to my two colleagues, it just occurred to me some things here that, we are very different in what we're interested in, but there are some places where we intersect. But, I think of Anthony kind of as the public community intellectual, who's out there. And then Shannon, obviously, with her scholarly expertise for training teachers and that whole side of it. And I think as Robin and Sherry and Chris know, I'm just like the ed tech nerd in the background. So a lot of what I do is keep the website updated. And I'm getting stuff from Chris. I get stuff from, in my email and I post it. You can see there, for example, I'm advertising the last two teaching webinars that are coming up today and then December 9th. Yesterday, we did a LinkedIn Learning. We looked at that, talked about that on our campus. I did have two people show up in person, so that was interesting. That was great. Other things that I kind of promote as they come across, but we've done, we're doing a session tomorrow on applying for UUP IDA grants. I did a thing with the Oscar rubric. I think Shannon mentioned, getting to know sponsored programs. And then I promote things like National Distance Learning Week, SUNY Online, the Lumen Circles, SUNY Online. The website is like so much better now. It looks great. And when I saw that, I put that out also. So I'm updating the website. I reorganized a lot of stuff. And the grants and funding area, I was asked by LANS, if liberal arts and sciences, if I could do that. So I cleaned up the website a little bit because it's like something I enjoy doing in my free time anyway. And I would say on Mondays, I push stuff out promoting stuff. So if Shannon and Anthony send me something, and I try to push that out Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and it goes out under the FDC email account. So again, I'm kind of on the back end of things. I'm updating the website constantly. I am promoting events. I do run some webinars. And mostly though, it's about online stuff, but not always, but mostly. So Brightspace has been a thing, as we all know. I mean, our campus was in the first cohort to get going. I think part of what our faculty, have had difficulty with, obviously, is transitioning to Brightspace. Our OIT office, they're running constantly drop-in sessions, and I've just tried to be supportive in that way. In terms of, our student workers. So we have 2 student workers right now, and I do supervise them and their timesheets. We have what is really wonderful, because we do have graduate programs, an English grad student who has been tremendous. She's an editor, and she has worked with faculty doing editorial work. One person had an article published, and she's just been remarkable. So that support for our faculty, I feel, is important. And that's basically what I do. I just do the back end web support, sending out emails, running some webinars that get spotty attendance, promoting SUNY Online and Lumen Circles, and a little bit of OER stuff that I've kind of dropped the ball on a little bit, but yeah. So that's me.
And just in terms of communication, as it relates to this particular job and our roles. So now that you've been exposed to the roles, I remember. So this is what Sarah does, and she still teaches. That being said, we have monthly meetings with our dean, Shayla Mills. She is the associate provost for academic planning and learning innovation, and dean of the graduate professional and interdisciplinary studies and continuing and online education. Again, appointed by the assistant vice president of the graduate and extended learning in 2017. Currently, her role is also assistant provost as well. She provides leadership for us in a variety of different ways. We meet with her on a monthly basis. She's really particularly supportive of us, but then also, does push us just in terms of what kinds of direction are we going. And as it relates to the FDC, there have been several conversations throughout the semester, just in terms of outcomes, trying to have better measurable outcomes as it relates to the impact of the FDC and what is the FDC really about, like teasing that out, right? And the ways in which that can be answered in a measurable way. And some of the things that we have come up with in terms of this understanding that it focuses on faculty, but it also is a space for us to coalesce or bring faculty together in an interdisciplinary way, right? Faculty members come and participate in the university in a variety of different spaces, but they are not always crossing disciplines. At the FDC, this allows them to build and be more creative, extend the borders of their own discipline, and things that they may be doing outside of their roles here at the university that they may want to contribute to our faculty. This is a space in which they can do them. Just recently, just to bring up an example, a colleague of ours came to us, and she just took a trip to Israel and was doing some activism work over there as it relates to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And she came back and she would like to, put together a workshop that we are seeking to actually going to facilitate by the end of the semester, put together a workshop for other faculty members to come and talk about these experiences and the things that she's learned as it relates to her engagement over there. So also we have advisory board meetings. With our advisory board meetings, we've already detailed some of the things that go on with the advisory board. But yes, so we meet monthly, and in addition to that, communication, emails and texts. So not just emails, but also texts, because we link up with a variety of different faculty members here on campus in a variety of different spaces. Sometimes texts are the easiest way for people to reach you, and that also on some levels has a personal connection. But these are the ways in which we communicate not only with people outside the FDC, but also internally with one another. We reach out to each other and communicate in these ways to help promote a particularly fruitful experience, not just for us, but for the institution as a whole. And Shannon is mic'd right now. And I'll pass it on to Shannon to go ahead and wrap us up and segue into our next segment.
Thanks, Anthony. So we thought we'd take we got a little over 20 minutes here. We have a number of questions that, we'd like to pose to the group and get some conversation going. So one of them, to just start with, is a question about distributed leadership. So I'm going to throw this question up in the chat here too. So we're practicing here a distributed leadership model. And we're curious about what people think are the advantages and disadvantages of doing this, or what are the advantages and disadvantages of doing a more centralized leadership model where you just have one person. What are you doing on your campuses? What have you noticed? So we'll just open it up for conversation and have people jump in.
Hi, yeah, I have a really strong opinion about this. I think collaboration is key. The key to it, though, however, it has to be people who are willing to either learn or already have experience with collaboration, because I have done a lot of collaborative leadership roles in my life outside of academia, and I find the 2 brains is more than 2 brains. 3 brains is about 40 brains, as far as I can tell. Like, you really get so much. What did you think of? Oh, and could we, and you know about that? Like, that is just brilliant to me. And I think academia doesn't do it enough. I think that crosses disciplines, it gets people to think differently. And I think particularly if you have faculty rotating through these kinds of roles, the learning is just fabulous. Now, is there a little bit of learning at the beginning to learn how to collaborate if you're not familiar? Yes, but it's valuable, valuable time. So I think it's really, I really, really support this. And I don't have it literally. I mean, I have it literally, but it's not in our structure right now. But I get to collaborate with somebody, and it just makes all the difference in the world.
We did have a nuts and bolts question earlier, though, about how did we have release time? What did we get? And I don't know if we wanted to comment. As a full-time lecturer, non-tenure track, I'm expected to teach, I have the 15 credit load per semester. So I wasn't interested in a stipend. I was interested in take away some of these credits. So that's what I went for, not the stipend, but taking away 3 credits. So.
And just to echo what Rachel was actually referring to, if you're unaware, so we had the option of either getting some course release for this opportunity over the year, or getting a couple extra dollars. And for all intents and purposes, I hope I'm not saying anything that shouldn't be said. Rachel took the course release. Shannon and I took a couple extra dollars, right? That's valuable. Only three.
Yeah, but you know what? It was composition, so it's like yeah, it was worth it. And I will say both of my sons are well out of college. So I was like, yeah, I don't need the extra money. Go ahead.
And also, if there are no particular questions as it relates to this prompt that we already put up there, if anybody has any other questions with respect to the presentation, I have not been able to look through the chat to see if there were any questions put in there, but feel free to raise your hand and share. Let's communicate and dialogue of just about not only things that we may have discussed here in this space, but maybe something might be going on in your space that you would like to have some input on, or feel that it might be fruitful to put out there for us to dialogue around.
Yeah, we do have a hand raised. Was that Chil?
Yeah, I was curious. You know, you did a great job of outlining all of your responsibilities, but I was kind of curious how you got to that point. Was there a conversation at the beginning that said, "I'll take this, I'll take this"? Was it kind of outlined before you began, or how did you come to that?
Yeah, so we had taken Sarah had kind of like outlined all of the different things that she was doing, and individually we each looked at what we were interested in and kind of said that. And as it turned out, as both Anthony and Rachel said, we have different strengths and interests, and so it worked out perfectly. So we all picked the things that we wanted to do that were aligned with our strengths and our interests. And then I think there was a couple things that we had to like negotiate on, but based on our strengths and interests, and the work divided out pretty evenly between the three of us.
I'm raising a literal hand. How did the administration say you can get X amount of dollars or X amount of course release? Was it, I mean, if you're teaching 15 credits, 3 credits off is not a whole lot of time. And that kind of says to me, where's the real support? You know, like was the cash amount actually, like, is it comparable to the amount of work you're doing? And how do we make sure that that sort of thing is actually respected, like really supported? Because all of you sound like you're doing a job and a half, you know, and at a certain point you get burnout, and that worries me. So how do you negotiate that? How did that work, and what suggestions would you make if you were to go through it again?
So I'll put a little something out there. Feel free to jump in, family. On the front end of it, Sarah was really pushing the administration, right? Just in terms of what she thought might be fair. From my understanding, what happened, they pushed back, right? And as it relates to what was negotiated at the end of the day was more on happening between Sarah and the administration, as opposed to us coming in saying we want X, Y, and Z. And given that, you know, everybody, well, some people wanted to find this, and I think it might be fair, you know, just working within this period of austerity, right? And just everybody just pulling back in a variety of different ways, saying, you know, there's a lack of money, there's a lack of funding and different things like that. These are some of the outcomes that we had. Anybody else want to chime in?
I think Chris is making a good point. Should we not record this part?
I could certainly pause if you want. You want to
probably
pause it? Yeah, let's pause it. Hang on a sec. In the recording. And thank you all for an outstanding presentation, and you know, you're doing a lot of work, so the fact that you took out your time to do this today speaks a lot, and I appreciate that a lot. One thing, a little nugget for you all before you head out is just a little announcement. I should have said at the beginning, but I'll put it on the recording so folks watching the recording will know. I'm happy to announce that it looks like we're going to have an innovative instruction technology grant program again. So those of you who aren't familiar with that program, it grants anywhere up to $60,000 that faculty and staff can apply for to basically propose a project that is innovative with regards to instruction. And, you know, innovative, you'll see in the call, is a very broad definition of innovative. Yes, technology is typically part of that, but you know, can't avoid technology these days. So that's going to come out probably about a week or so. and the deadline will be mid-February. And so we'll look for reviewers too. So if you're willing to serve as a reviewer, we'll need help with that. But it's been on pause, the program, for the last since the pandemic. And so I'm really excited that we'll be able to offer that again. That comes out of our office at the Center for Professional Development now. All right. Well, again, thanks for everybody for coming. I'm going to stop the recording and wish you all